body moving. The body moving.
There's going to be a lot of people wondering, hang on a minute, Sarah Garvey is talking to Tommy Robinson, and you'd probably be right. I didn't think I'd speak to Tommy Robinson. However, on this issue, the issue of free speech, I think me and Tommy Robinson have got something in common. Now, we're probably polar opposites of the scale. However, I think he's got the right to say what he wants to say, and because I've got the right to say what I want to say. And the thing that we both have in common is that we've both had instances where a particular group of people have tried to shut our free speech down. So that's the reason I'm doing this interview. Not because I necessarily agree with Tommy Robinson's politics, but I agree 100% in the right for anyone to have their freedom of speech. And I don't want anybody taking that away from anyone. Tommy, I wanted to kind of get your view on this freedom of speech thing. Yeah. A lot of people on my channel will probably be asking questions why I'm speaking to you, right? Because I kind of align myself with more black issues, right? African-centered issues. However, for me, right, I wouldn't even be able to have that platform if it wasn't for the freedom of speech thing. So. I want to know from you why you think freedom of speech is important.
With free speech, if I'm an idiot, all right, if I'm wrong, come and talk to me and debate me and show people that.
Right.
Yeah? And I think everyone has to have that right. And when I'm talking free speech, you have ultimate free speech. I'm not talking free speech to incite violence or to incite murder or to incite any of these problems. I'm talking open criticism of an ideology. We have to be free to do that. We're not.
Right, okay. Because now you say that, you know, people need to find out who you are, not listen to what is said about you. My own experience, because I used to be an actor. I actually used to be an actor in my teenage years up into like mid-20s. Yeah. And I played all kinds of roles, right? All kinds of roles. And I've actually got a show reel online. Now I played, about a decade ago, I played a bisexual character on a TV show called Family Affairs. It was on Channel 5, you remember Family Affairs? Right. I was on that for like 2 years and my character was bisexual, right? I'm not bisexual in real life though, it was a character. Yeah. However, what happened now that they know me, now it's, oh, Sarah's gay, you know? And that's now the thing. So everyone are coming to me saying, are you gay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. And they're like, oh, but I heard.
But they're throwing out you're gay because they think that's a negative thing to throw at you.
Right, they think it's negative, but what has happened now is that I'm now dealing with rumours, and I'm thinking, why have I got to bat away rumours? Do you know what I mean? I know who I am.
See, the rumour of you being gay is the rumour of me being racist.
So you're not racist?
Oh, come on, bro, man, don't tell me, man. Yo,
I got to ask the question.
So you're not gay?
No, I'm not.
I'm not racist, man.
I think there are a few women that can tell you that I'm not, though.
You see that? Yeah, you see that feeling? You know that annoying frustration where you're walking around and people are coming up to you asking you, are you this? Or I have people.
Because we had it outside.
We just had it outside. Yeah. Before I come in here, we had someone come up to me, again, who was very unknowledgeable on any issues. Yeah? But he's again judging me on what he thinks. And he only thinks it because the media have built up a persona and a picture of me for him. Yeah? And all of the headlines, I don't blame people. When you read if I read a newspaper, when I was leading the English Defence League, if I didn't know the English Defence League and I read a newspaper saying Nazis are coming into my town, I'd be one of the first people to go out and stand there and say, you're not coming through my town. Right. No Nazis coming through my town. Yeah? The difference is we weren't Nazis. Right. The difference is from the very first day, if I talk to you, this is why we had such a strong issue against the National Front and against Nazis as well. And I had a real problem with people within the English Defence League who I felt were trying to manoeuvre the movement. Because before, what founded the English Defence League was the United People of Luton. Yeah? It was a group of our community who formed. And on the very first day that we formed, I sat in a pub and a man walked in. There's 200 of us in the pub. And this was our first demonstration. If you go on United People of Luton, you'll see this demonstration. And a man walked in the pub and he goes, I said, all right, mate, where are you from? Because I knew you weren't a Luton lad and there's everyone else from Luton. He goes, Barnet, mate. I go, Sam. He goes, don't worry, 20 National Front just got off the train station. I said, you see when they get here? I said, yeah. I said, they're going to get their fucking heads kicked in. Right. And he went, what? I said, look around this pub, bro. Look around the pub. They may not be outnumbering people, but there are non-white people in this pub, and they're part of they're who we are. So, and when they did come, they got chased out of it.
Let me talk about that. I would say, right, because I knew who Tommy Robinson was based on media before I actually researched you myself, right? So I had the whole thing of, oh yeah, Tommy Robinson's a racist, is it this, is it that, is it that, is it this. But what I have noticed is that when you speak, and if I look at the comment section, there are very racist people in the comment section. There are. Now, I'm not saying that you're a racist, because whoever knows. But what I'm saying is, it seems to me that racist people, a few, I don't know how many, I can't give a percentage, but racist people seem to follow what you say. Why do you think that is?
Well, what I'd say is, if the BBC run a news article, if the BBC put on their Facebook something about a Muslim terrorist attack, there'll be racist comments underneath. So, true. And that's not to say that those racists are following the BBC. So I'd say that all the news articles I put up, or the stories I put up, a lot of them are around terrorism and around issues. So, and we had the same with the English Defence League. The English Defence League was a nationalistic organisation waving the St George's flag. It attracted all sorts of people, also a lot of idiots. And the media kept telling them it was a party for them. Now, if you want to go on spend some research, go and look at the far right in Britain, go and look at the real far right, whether you look at the alt-right in America. Look at these groups and see what they think of me. They're the real racist far right, whether they be against black people or against Jews, those real organisations and people, I'm known as a race-traiting Zionist shill. They despise me. And so when
I'm paid by Zionists as well.
Oh, you are? We all are, yeah, we all are, yeah.
I just want to know where the money is, though.
I know, that's what I keep saying. If there's all these rich Jews out there, give us your money.
I want to know.
If everyone's going to say you funded us, just give us your money. But the other thing, and on our very first Luton demonstration, I've got a little friend called Isaac, and this was front page of the newspapers. He's a black lad, and the copper went past him on a horse and knocked his teeth out. Yeah, and the English Defence League would not have formed if it wasn't for the people that turned up on that day. So when you had this big group grow, and we did have massive problems for the first 2 years in cleaning out the group. Right. And there was a demonstration we had, which was, if you can research it, it was up in Blackburn, and I stood up and I gave a speech, and I said, and I held a Sikh lad's hand. I said, if you don't like what you see, you're in the wrong crowd. And then I started reading out names of people who I knew were in the movement, who were part of other organisations with completely different agendas to us. And I called them out and I said, show yourself in this crowd. But I only made this decision because I had to make this decision, because we had to have a clear out in the movement. But what did the media report to you on that day, to the public? What would you have been told? You'd have been told EDL fight each other. Right. No, it's EDL clearing out the far right from within the movement.
So then would you say you're a nationalist then?
Yeah, wouldn't you?
Right, because I'm a nationalist, so I don't mind nationalists.
I'd say, look, when it comes to politics, when I started the English Defence League, I didn't care about politics. Like most working class kids, I had zero interest. I'd never watched Newsnight. I'd never watched any of those programmes. I didn't realise that The Guardian was left wing and the Daily Mail was right wing, because I didn't read any of them. I picked up The Sun and went to page 3. And that was it. And that was my interest. And I was on a building site. Right. And like most other working class people, the difference is the Islamic community are politicised because Islam is political ideology. They're taught it, they're encouraged in politics. Right. One good thing which I'd say has come from what I've done and what we've done is we have politicised the generation. And we have now got working class kids who are interested in politics, who are interested in what's happening, who are reading, learning, studying. But
do you know why I would say that? Because I would say alternative media has a very big part to play in that.
Massive part to play. That's what it's about, yeah. And we are engaging people who had never been engaged in politics. And it's a sad state of affairs that the reason they're getting involved is because of the state of our country. But that whole racist thing, you know, when people come up to me and say,
I wouldn't lie,
are you racist?
A year ago, I wouldn't have saw myself sitting down with you talking to you. No, from what I heard, I'd be like, what? I don't want to talk like that.
I've spoke to most people, so I'll give you an example. I went out on a night out and I was in a town called Hitchin near Luton. It's a very, very wealthy area. Yeah, it's a beautiful area. And someone had put up saying, Tommy Robinson's in this pub for anyone who wants to smash his head in. Right? I've come walking out, I'm with my friend and I'm with our partners. I've come walking out and there's 8 men waiting, right? And they've attacked me. I had a blood clot, I'd end up having a blood clot. And I've then gone and found them all, and I've recorded it. I've never shared these recordings. Did I share one? I put one of them up briefly, but I took it down because I've gone to find them, and I've gone to one man's house. I knocked on the door, and his sister's answered and gone, "Well, what are you doing here?" I said, "Tell him to come outside." And I bought a camera with me. I said, "Tell him to come outside," and he wouldn't come outside. So I posted my number through the letterbox, and then I went home and put a picture of him on my Twitter. I said, "Anyone know this man?" Yeah? And then he deleted it. He had a business account, he had a Facebook, he deleted everything. I started watching it all get deleted. So then I put up saying, "I know you're watching, like this. I'm going to come back round your house. I got violently attacked. It was you done it. I'm coming back round your house." And then he said he agreed to meet me. So he agreed to meet me. And they texted me first saying, "Sorry, I'm so sorry. It was a drunk, tongue-in-cheek moment." I said, "No, not good enough at all. You need to see me to my face." He then turned up the next day at Cafe Rouge in Hitchin. I walked in. He brought a couple of heavies with him. And I said, "Come outside." And then the heavy said, "No, you can talk in here." And I just said, "Shut." If I wanted to beat him up, if I wanted to violently attack him, I would wait outside his house and done it. I don't want to do that. If you want this to end, get outside. And he's like, "I don't want to fight, I don't want to fight." I said, "I haven't come here to fight you. Come outside." When he's come outside, I said, "Look in the camera, tell him why I need to be violently beaten up." And he's like, "You don't." I said, "Okay, tell me what I've said that you are so enraged with." "You led the EDL." "Okay, tell me what I said when I led the EDL. Give me an example." He said, "You want all immigrants out of this country." "No, I don't. Never said that in my life." All the things he threw at me, he thought, were all nonsense. I've never said any of them. I've said, "Bruv, I've never said that. I've never done this, I've never done that." I said, "And where you actually live, I've been to where you went, I've looked at your private school, I've looked at the posh school you went to, yeah? And I've looked at your group of friends. You're exclusively white. Right. You're all white. And I've got you, the nearest mosque to where you live is in my town, yeah? And then you look at my friends, and every one of my friends are sons of immigrants. I'm from the most multicultural and diverse town in Europe." I said, "And I've got you telling me, screaming at me, saying I'm a racist." Right. I said, "And you ain't got no clue about life."
I'm called a racist for my nationalist views, right?
You're called a racist against?
White people, everybody, right?
What's your views? Tell me your views.
I am a Pan-Africanist. I'm a black nationalist.
Which means?
Which means I am for the forward betterment of all black people around the globe.
And would that be at the hands of?
At the hands of nothing, just forward betterment. And so.
So in what sense would people say you're racist?
But because of fear. Because the fear is, what I've noticed, right, is a lot of people think that, oh, when Sarah says that, he means he wants to kill all white people. No, I don't. I've never said that. Oh, he wants to beat up. It's not at the expense of anybody. And this is what I do. I speak to black people and I say, listen, we are in a situation, right? And if we don't get ourselves out of that situation, we can't trust anybody else to do it for us. Just like you as probably a British man, you'd want the British people to talk to British people to get British people out of whatever situation they're in.
If there was a white man who had said, "I'm for the advancement of white people, yeah. And I want what's right for white people."
Yes. It's not a problem for me.
It's not a problem for you.
It's not a problem for me.
It is for a lot of people.
Yeah, but it's not for me. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Because
a lot of people would say.
No, because when the Chinese people say they're for the advancement of China, it makes sense. It doesn't.
From my experience, I always say that I'm from a different thing where I say, I don't give a shit if you're black or white.
But I'm not emotional. But what you have to, for me, a lot of people are emotionally led. So it makes, if I heard Tom Robertson say, right, he's for the advancement of British people, I'd be like, why wouldn't he be? What I've noticed is that if black people, say they're for the advancement of black people automatically think guns, violence, everyone's gonna die. It's like, no, like, that's not what I'm about. But I want my people, right, to advance themselves. And the only way you can advance yourself is by talking to your own people, right? Wouldn't you? You have to talk to the British.
Yeah, but when I talk to the British, I don't divide it between black and white.
I travel the world, and one thing that came up was that we occupy the bottom of the socio-economic ladder wherever we are. So if we're at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder, no matter where we are, we all got a shared experience. So to get ourselves off the bottom of it, this is what we got to do.
Which is why, with what you're saying, that's when you start looking into religions.
Right, because I understand, because okay, so if you look at Islam came into Africa 642 AD, yeah? Raping, robbing, pillaging, castrating, enslaving. I now look to black people and I say, hang on a minute, do you understand what this religion done to you? Right? It doesn't make sense to follow this religion, does it? No, it's for, but in relation, even within Islam, we would go to Saudi Arabia, go to any Muslim country, you see the blacks at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder. You go to Saudi Arabia, in Saudi, in Qatar, but I'm saying so. So it doesn't matter what religion you follow, because you're still going to be at the bottom.
Which is ridiculous for how many of them are converting. So
right, and this is what
stop converting.
This is what I'm trying to say. Stop converting, because it doesn't matter that
because they're lying to you.
It doesn't matter that you become a Muslim. Doesn't matter.
Muhammad said you're raisin heads.
Right. Muhammad, according to the Hadith, was a white man who owned black slaves. So why would I now follow an ideology that says that about me? It doesn't make sense to me.
So if I ask you then, so since you've so if you wouldn't have sat next to me a year ago, and you've sat and researched now,
right?
Now what's your view?
On
me.
You seem like a cool guy.
Cheers.
You seem alright. You know? You seem like you're alright. But
because from my point of view, showing how many people I have, which I take it, the best thing for me that come out of the Donald Trump election was fake news. The term fake news. Because it makes everyone question everything they've been told. And I have so many people saying, oh bruv, I hated you. I absolutely, we met a gentleman the other day, said, I hated you. You wouldn't be standing there with me here, because I'll be killing you. He goes, and then I've just then I've watched this, I've learned this, I've listened to you, and I've realised, geez, man. And then, but for me, that's good, because for me, it's, because for me, the more people that question the media, the more people that question the narrative, the more people that start seeing the reality. The reality is that by painting me up, if they accepted from the start that we had this organisation called the English Defence League that welcomed blacks, that welcomed gays, that welcomed Jews, that welcomed Hindus, that welcomed everyone, and the problem was this radical sect of Islam, yeah? If they'd said, then they don't want the public flocking to it. Right. So what can they do to stop it? Right. Far right, racist, Nazi, infiltrate. Everything they can do, which is and I mean like the lengths they went to, the lengths of secretive units. You know, for a secretive unit within the Scotland Yard, one of my demonstrations when I was leading the English Defence League cost the police £2 million. Yeah. Now they want rid of me. That's what I knew that when I started looking at the figures. I thought, oh my.
That's a question I've got for you though. What is it with the police and you? I don't get it. Like, why don't it doesn't seem like, for me, from what I've seen, the police like you. Why don't the police like you?
No, so I'll say that the average police officer shakes my hand and agrees, yeah?
Right. The establishment,
yeah, what I'm talking about is, if you go back to the Bradford riots, yeah? Watch the videos. This is when I done it and I thought, this is what it is, watch the videos. The videos are unbelievable. I think a lot of people forget how bad those riots were. You see people getting stabbed up, you see the whole city on fire, you see riots, you see police, you see all this. Now, what the police felt at the start, which they've openly told me as well, was that my ability to bring people together and walk through towns could provoke Bradford riots, not just in Bradford.
Just you being there?
Just us walking. Like, for example, basically, loads of Muslims come out and one of them smashed a police officer with a brick. Police arrested him. 200 Muslims went to the police station with an imam and said, release him now. Now, I've read all this on left-wing sites, and I've read that they released him. And then I've gone and had for a meeting with the heads of Birmingham Police before a demo. I've said, can I ask you something about this? And I went through the case. I said, and I've read he was released. And they went, yeah, he was. I went, what? Like, what do you mean you released him? He smashed a cop with a brick. He goes, look, one man's arrest and one man's conviction, or the whole city burns. Right, okay. And it doesn't just burn here, it burns in Bradford, it burns in Oldham. So it's like, so you're giving in to mob rule, and since they burned the whole city and cost 20 or 30 million pounds of damage and all of the problems across the country, since that you've given concession after concession after concession after concession because you're terrified of what they're going to do. So because you're terrified of the reaction of me talking at Speaker's Corner and Martin Selner, because that reaction, if it goes wrong, say the wrong person gets stabbed or hurt or murdered, this country's going to go. And the country's been on a tinderbox for years, and they realise it, and they realise that one wrong thing at the wrong moment at the wrong time is going to go like that. So the police's option is, let's not get rid of the ISIS fighters, let's not detain the gangs, let's not stop the acid attacks, let's stop people talking about it, and let's play it all down. And if it's down to him being able to galvanise those people, let's get rid of him. Let's stop him at every avenue we can. And that's what they did. And when I sort of look at why they're doing it, that's not their job. If they want to, again, when I went to march into Tower Hamlets, they banned us and then we took it to the High Court. And within law, the police in this country have to uphold our democratic rights. They cannot stop them because of threats of violence from someone else. But that's what they did. The head of the Metropolitan Police Force stood in High Court and said, you can't walk into Tower Hamlets because we can't deal with the reaction. Yeah? Okay, well, that's not the problem here because that's one of our rights. If you can't deal with the reaction, you get the army out. And if you can't deal with the action now, when there's 5% of the country's Muslim, what's it going to be like? What are you going to be telling us we can't do in 10, 20 years?
Right. and which is where we'll last bit we'll talk about the whole freedom of speech thing.
Because I go off on one again.
Yeah, you went off on Monday.
I always do.
Right, no, because the whole thing is, like I said, you now know my stance, I now know yours, right? And I want, my followers to know that it's actually all right to actually sit down with someone who may have different views from you, and actually
It's the only way you can do it.
and agree to disagree, even if you don't agree. That's all I want people to know.
Yeah.
Tommy, thank you very much, man.
Cheers, man.
All right.
Thanks. Cheers, bro.